All right, so we are here today for another episode of Thought Leader Thursday. And if you are a regular in Soup or a participant or an attendee at Soup Live, the face that is sharing the camera with us today is no stranger to you. We are hanging out with the always entertaining and educational Uncle Ron Wadley. How are you?
Woo-hoo. I'm
What's
well,
going
sir. How are
on,
you?
Ron? Is
We're
it is it Uncle Ron or is it Drunkle Ron?
while I do have a bottle of Balkanus Baby Blue on the shelf over there, we have not started that at this point in the day yet.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It is afternoon where you are right now, so I think it's legal.
It was legal 2 hours ago, but that
6
doesn't
and
change.
16.
I'm just trying to help
Mike,
out
you
here.
can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
That's
very
right.
true. That's very true. And as someone who does not drink often, the rare times that I do, I pay for it so heavily. I'm actually paying for it a little bit today, Monday morning, as we record this from Saturday night.
You
And
tied
we will
one
cut
on
that
this
part
weekend.
out.
Yeah. But Saturday night wasn't even going hard. I mean, that's just where I'm at this age and stage. So I wish that there was like this big long like, oh yeah, it was bad and I'm paying for it. No, I'm just 45 and paying for it.
You should be almost 51 and paying for it. So
Yeah.
So we have a deep history together, Ron. But for the ones out there that don't know who Ron Wadley is, give us that high level overview.
you and I live 40 miles apart from each other, Taylor, and we had to get on a plane and go to Grand Rapids, Michigan to meet at a hotel bar when we were both farmers agents.
Yep.
And we came back from the ever loving University of Farmers to launch agencies, which was an interesting process. You went digital. I went more traditional, old school. You came back to me a year later and said, would you consider taking a class from me and giving me money? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. You pulled over to the side of the road. You did a dance and celebrated because you sold your very first thing.
I actually
That was
remember
not
I
a
was on my
policy.
way back. I was on my way back from Houston. I was driving my wife's single cab Chevy. I remember exactly where I was when we had that phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was in that very first class where we met on Tuesdays and Thursday nights.
Wait.
Wife.
Was Ron client one?
If not client one, he was in the first class of like 7.
Yeah.
That's where the name Insurance for Texans came from.
It actually is. So on a random Tuesday night in June of 2014 or 15, I guess it was, we were making dark pages trying to be secretive so that we removed brand bias. And that's where Insurance for Texans was born. I ran it as a rogue dark page with a website. And when it came time to sell off the farmer's business and rebrand as an independent, I incorporated it, got an agency license, so on and so forth. And we've been running a digital agency ever since.
Well, just hit the pause button for a second, because I'm sure right now a lot of listeners that are listening, because we have not referred to it as such in a long time, taught it that way in a while. And if you haven't been involved in Facebook ads, you really have no idea what we're talking about. When we're talking about a dark page and we're talking about trying to eliminate brand bias, what exactly were you doing?
So for better or for worse, some people love large brands. Some people hate them because of an experience. You can't get around that emotion that can be tied to a really large corporate brand like your big name insurance companies. You're
talking about the anger and rage that I hold in my heart, because when I was 19 years old, Allstate wanted me to pay $809 a month for insurance.
Or maybe you had a claim that went wrong, or whatever made you upset with that insurance company, you hold that negative opinion.
And as the caveman has continued to evolve, it is now not a dark page. It is now not an anonymous page where you were trying to attract attention and opportunity. It is a full-blown brand that is out in the open and doing pretty darn well.
It actually has a federal trademark on both the name and the phrase that we use to promote our home insurance. So you can't go rip me off. It's actually got a federal trademark filed.
Yeah, I remember when
on
you did that.
insurance.
That was really cool.
Yeah. So we use our brand now that is out and doing well, and we have created what we refer to as True Texas Home Insurance, and that has a federal trademark. Don't get any ideas, people. That allows us to set a standard of value that we provide to Texas homeowners so that they can understand what it is they're getting and why we're doing it.
Yeah, one thing you've done extremely well, and you've actually been able to build a business off of, is the content and SEO side of things. And your website, what you push, the traffic to your website, most people wouldn't even believe, is happening, because you've got insane traffic for, what's considered a small agency. So I want to lean in there a little bit on this call. Is how important is content to that small agency?
So the content is everything. So you can either be the content by going and being involved in your chamber of commerce, shaking babies and kissing hands, being present at the local school events. There are ways that I leverage the content that we produce in myself in real life, in person. I'm heavily involved in the athletic scene where I went to college. And when I walk into a basketball game, my daughter is like, she looks at me and she goes, how do all these people know you? And it comes from a multiple pronged approach where I'm interacting and having relationship with these people, but I'm also pushing the content through our website and our social channels and our email. And there's content on YouTube. Like it's across the board, so that when we're working on some piece of content, we can use it in as many places as possible and get as much return on that activity as possible.
Where are you seeing the biggest return or the most traffic? What source?
The biggest return, it's not close. It is our website. So we figured out several years ago, we're not going to compete with Geico on the phrase auto insurance. Like, I'm not going to rank for that. I don't have to. Where I'm at in the middle of Dallas, Fort Worth, one of the major suburbs that's right here, it's called Grapevine. And so when people go to Google and they search for home insurance, they're looking for home insurance near me, or best Grapevine home insurance, or Grapevine home insurance agents. We're ranking in that local sphere really high. And we've got some pages that get national reach. It's one of those things, it crops up and it surprises me ever so often. But we really focus on owning what are known as long tail phrases that have to do with Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Grapevine, the places where we are.
Well, I've got news for you, Ron. While you were just telling us how you focus on Grapevine and you can't get the word home insurance because it's so expensive and da 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 da. I actually did a good old Google search on insurance for Texans while you were speaking about all of that, and right beneath the sponsored area where everyone's paying to play, the very first site for home insurance in Grapevine, Texas, was Insurance for Texans.
And we've done a lot of content creation to make that happen.
But above and beyond that, I wanted to take a little bit of a moment to I already took my hat off. I should have kept it on to tip my cap to you, because you went and you did something that not a lot of us back when when CAC was like really hot and hopping and all that kind of stuff. You did something a little bit different than the rest of us, and you bucked the trend. And when we were growing CAC and we were teaching Facebook ads and we were teaching social media and all that kind of stuff, we didn't want to stray too far away from it, because A, it was getting results. B, it was a little bit on the easier side, and what was happening was very quick and fast and very almost like spontaneous ongoing opportunity and results as a result of the Facebook advertising. But it was all in the moment. It wasn't really building an asset or anything like that. And you actually had the foresight and the wherewithal to start going down a little bit of a different rabbit hole prior to some of these platforms making their shifts and their adjustments and all that kind of stuff. And you went in a direction with it, with the SEO, that not a lot of agents were really open to at the time, in my opinion, because of the amount of time that it can sometimes take to really catch momentum and the amount of work that needs to get done in order to build it. And you not only had the patience for it, you developed the skill set now to a level where, like, geez, your local insurance agency, his website, to Taylor's point, is seeing the kind of traffic that a bigger company would see. And you've been able to take the success of what you've built and demonstrably show other agents, hey, if you're a little bit patient here, I can build you out a lead generation machine that just requires elbow grease.
So that's right. It's a long play. So when you think about starting an agency, the three of us have talked about this numerous times. You always start with the end in mind. What do you want it to be ultimately when you get to the end of the road? And if your goal is to create something that's sustainable over time and worth more at the end, whether you pass that off to your family, whether you have a business partner that buys you out, whether you sell it outright on the open market, whatever that looks like, there are certain things that you can do to make it more valuable and sustainable over time. The time horizon for a piece of content on Twitter is a matter of minutes. The time horizon for a piece of content on Facebook or Instagram is maybe a week at most.
I was going to say hours, unless it's white hot.
Well, we're seeing the algorithm recycle things a little bit longer now. You're getting days, maybe up to a week or so. LinkedIn's time horizon goes into maybe a couple of weeks. But things that are on the Google search engine result page have a time horizon of months to years. And it works in the background when you're asleep. So the guy who does life and health for me woke up this morning with leads of people looking for health insurance because we've created the content. So it's a long play. You don't see results immediately like you do with social media. The trade-off is that it works long term. And if you update, the long term becomes much longer in term. So that regular flow of traffic to the website actually makes your business more profitable and makes it worth more in a sales situation, because the person's not just buying your personal brand, they're buying that traffic that's coming into your website, which makes your asset more valuable.
Have you had any conversations with anyone that does business valuations to get an idea of what kind of additional value it actually brings to the agency?
So I haven't talked to anybody about that specifically, like the hardcore metrics of it. But when you have things like federal trademarks on the name, if you have sales slogans, a federal trademark on that, when you have predictable, reproducible website traffic month over month that's showing a sustained growth, there's value in that. It's a cumulative effect that's feeding into the actual revenue stream over time, and it's adding protection if you're trying to buy that revenue stream.
Absolutely. Taylor, this is actually teeing up a conversation, a future conversation that we should probably have on this with Carrie Bell Wallace for sure.
Oh, I was already putting a text together to remind myself afterwards to see what the impact it would
I
have.
jotted the notes down right there, CBW. So,
So-
you know, what you're talking about though is an absolute lift to the business, and one that I don't think your everyday average agent is even giving any kind of consideration to. But that's a conversation for a whole other day. You know, keeping focused on SEO and you know, all that good stuff. You know, you've been doing this now for a bit. It's not like you started this 90 days ago and we said, "Oh, Uncle Ron's the new SEO gun." You've been doing SEO now for a hot minute. At this point in time, how many leads a month is your agency typically generating?
We are typically seeing, I mean, there's seasonality to it, right? It ebbs and flows.
Sure.
Home insurance picks up in mid to late spring and pushes things through, you know, mid October. Health insurance picks up in Q4. So there's some elasticity here between lines of business.
Sure.
We're predictably producing between phone calls, web form submissions, emails, Facebook messages, you know, all of the systems. We're predictably doing 75 to 100 leads a month that the guys are then able to sell in a non-hard market, much better close ratio. But it's also queuing up a future pipeline, because if those people are looking now, we're dating and we're setting them up, you know, to capture them when the market begins to ease.
Well, I think one thing that needs to be called into attention here is the idea around the level of intent that these people are coming to you as a result of a Google search that led them to content that educated them around the problem they were trying to solve, versus like register for a chance to win this Stanley mug.
So that was primarily, candidly, what you just described. That was the primary reason that sent me down this rabbit hole all those years ago. Like I'm not going to hide that fact. If you are relying upon traditional lead generation, like what you described, you have to have a follow-up mechanism that is very reliable, very predictable, and the only way you get out of it is either to buy or die. Now, that's useful in any context, but if you don't have that, if you're running a contest for a Yeti cooler, whatever it is, you're not going to be very profitable with that sort of lead gen. If you're coming from the aspect of a Google search, the intent is very high. Our sales cycle is typically 14 days, 21 days.
Well, generally speaking, when someone's at that point with whatever problem they're trying to solve, where they're proactively, you know, doing a Google search for it versus it just being this hankering pain that if someone was to you know, poke it, they consider a conversation. It's a totally different level of awareness and willingness to you know, to have a transaction there.
So the other thing that you need to bear in mind with that intent, if they have looked at the content that you have produced and put on your website, it has your voice, it has your focus on value over price. If you go look through my website, we almost never talk about price. I've got a couple of articles that talk about how cheap home insurance has screwed me, but we talk about the value of what we're providing, and the people who are only looking to save 15% in 15 minutes are going to go someplace else. And the people that you're engaging in conversation are keenly interested in how you position your business.
Sure.
And so it changes that conversation.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, you've essentially eliminated all of that transient shot till you drop every time it renews crowd, which, call a spade a spade. I mean, outside of people who have those renewals that you're just trying to save by moving them from carrier to carrier, that is the absolute bane of your existence, trying to save those shoppers from renewal to renewal.
Well, and not for nothing, because of that mindset that you just described. I mean, between new business and renewals last year, we grew agency revenue almost just shy of 39%. That's
In
not premium. That's agency revenue from PNC business.
in what the majority of agents would unanimously agree to be the hardest industry cycle since President Carter.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not close. And my guys get frustrated. Don't misunderstand. They don't close as many sales as they once did on a percentage basis. But they also know that we're going to get that at bat again this year because people are still dealing with the same problems. We were able to retain customers. We were able to attract new customers because, oh, by the way, we actually offer replacement cost on your roof. We're not giving you a roof payment schedule, and your neighbor got screwed by that and you don't want it.
Well, what's also interesting about what you do with SEO that I don't think gets spoken about enough is that even in a tough industry market, there are always little holes that you can burrow into to find opportunity and make money. And with SEO and your ability to create the content around some of those more, more difficult to source insurance opportunities, you're able to constantly shine a light where there may be a lot of darkness within the industry and attract those lead types into your business that nobody else is seeing.
So the I-35 corridor from the top of Texas down to San Antonio has about 27 million people. We don't have to be the insurance agency for all 27 million people. We just have to shine the light, like you describe, for the right people to see the Batman signal. And the sale is basically won before we ever get to what the actual premium price is.
So let's break down even further. You mentioned content earlier.
Yep.
If we were to tell every agent, hey, generate content, like a lot of them struggle with, okay, where do I start? Like, what is content? And then once I do have it, like, what do I do with it from there?
So that's a loaded question. Content can be as simple as a meme on a Facebook post. And some people try to like overcomplicate this process. What I always tell folks is to listen to what questions people are asking you. So in this current marketplace, one of the common questions is, why in the heck did my premium go up 40% this year? What is a roof payment schedule? This line item on my renewal page says matching of roofing materials excluded. What is that? People are constantly asking you questions. They're giving you stories from a claim that went wrong. What you do with those questions and those stories, or you can use the stories of how you've helped your own customers, those become stories that you tell on your website, questions that you answer on your website. You learn to put that together. And from there, you can also distribute that same piece of content, whether it be a written blog, whether it be a video, whether it be a meme of some sort, an infographic, any of these things that you see online, put it on your website first. And from there, you can distribute it in numerous places around the web that are all going to be pushing people back to your website. So after you've gotten it on your website, use that same image that you put on that web page, take it to all of your social channels, link back to your website. You'll draw clicks from people seeing that. Put it into an email and send it out to all of the prospects or leads that are in your CRM, your database, however you keep them. If you've got a video after it's been on your website for a few days, push it to a YouTube channel, push it to Vimeo, push it to social media, reuse it over and over and over again so that you get extra bang for the buck if you're putting in the work to actually do the content.
So it sounds like the website is the foundation, and that's the end goal, is to get everyone back to the website.
So we use the website to drive the whole thing. You can use a lead form, like if you want to use Jot form, if you want to use Gravity forms. I mean, Wufoo still works if you use it right. Even though I don't personally use it and haven't used it in years, it still works if you use it right. The way that you capture the lead itself is not that big a deal. But the way that you drive traffic to your website is you're always pushing people back there from wherever else you're publishing this. Now, one thing to bear in mind, the second biggest search engine in the world is YouTube. The third biggest search engine in the world is Google Images.
And all three of them are owned by the same company.
Exactly. So if you're putting content on your website and you're using the metadata associated with the page and the image correctly, that image can wind up on Google image searches and it can push people back to your website. YouTube, if you've got that video out there with a link back to your website where people can learn more about this topic, they're going to come back to your website. The thing that people don't understand, there was actually a conversation in Soup just before we were starting this recording. Guy thought he was going to put a website out there, didn't realize that he needed to put content. He just thought if he put a website out there, Google was going to send people to him. Well, how does Google know what you do and what your expertise and what your authority is if you're not publishing content?
The same way that the sign that I put up outside my door was supposed to tell everyone driving by what I do, Ron.
Yeah, it's a billboard.
I truly think a website, if you're not putting content or actively driving traffic to it, is a complete waste of time and money.
So
I think
there
a lot
are
do it just for the satisfaction of having a website and miss the mark on what it's actually intended for.
So I don't remember the exact stat, but there are thousands of websites that get built and launched every single day around the world. There are literally hundreds of millions of websites. If Google doesn't know from your website what it is you do, why you're an expert, and why you have subject matter authority, you're never going to rank. And Google's not paying people to go to every website and actually look at it and catalog it. They're using a bot to crawl them, right? So you have to have content that the bot can see on a regular basis to know that you're providing answers to the questions that people are looking for. Google's in this to make money, right? And the way that they make money is the people that go and use their search engine have a great user experience. The way that they have that great user experience is the people that are at the top of the rankings are providing great information for the searches that are being done, and people are happy and they're buying things. If you're not putting content, Google can't create a great experience, and therefore your site won't rank.
So what would the advice be that you would give to an agent that is considering leaning into SEO?
The very first thing that you need to do at the beginning is to optimize your Google business listing, because that's a huge driver of local search. If you don't even have a Google business listing, or you've never messed with it and you're not even sure what it says, start there before you worry about anything else. The second thing you would do after that is make sure you have a website that is user-friendly. It's easy for you to manipulate. And technically speaking, underneath the hood, it's easy for Google to understand what it is you're putting there. I see a lot of people use random weird website builders. And when you look at some of the data about their site, it's missing a lot of things that Google is looking for. Google's going to punish you for that. Don't go get a free website builder from JV Zoo and think you're going to build this awesome website. There's a reason that almost 3/4 of all websites in the world are on WordPress. It's super SEO friendly. And I don't say that to disparage any of the folks that are making agency websites, but some of them are terrible for SEO readability. And they're not easily manipulable by the people in the agency to be producing content on the regular.
So do you have a formula for distributing the content and like a system to where you do it the same every single time?
As a matter of fact, I do. I do have a formula. I also, we use some tools, and I'll give you the tools. The first and foremost, we publish to the website, and we publish at least 5 days a week. I would tell someone at a minimum, they need to be doing at least 3 days a week. If you publish once a week, Google's only going to check your website once a week. And if they only check your website once a week, it's going to take you a long time to see any sort of return on that effort. You need to be doing at least 3 days a week. We do 5. If I've got a lot of stuff going on, I'll schedule stuff and we'll do it seven days a week if I've got a major push like we have going on right now. Once that's on our website, I will immediately push the article summary or the video description along with an image and a link back to the website to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, because those are our 3 platforms that we use. You can use Instagram, you can use TikTok, you can use Snapchat. I don't care, but those are the 3 that we use because that's where I'm best and I'm comfortable. We do that immediately. My CRM, which also hosts my website, which is HubSpot, will automatically publish those to our business pages because of the RSS feed that's tied into all of this. If you don't use that, there is a service called Missing Letter, and there is no E between the double T and the R at the end of that. It will monitor your RSS feed and will help you publish all of that to your business pages on any of those social platforms that you want to use. So we go there immediately. After it's been there for a few days, we then will also create a video. And what we do with that video is twofold. Google categorizes pages on your website as either text or video. So if you have more than 300 words, I believe it is, and you have a video embedded, the algorithm is not going to actually reward you for having the video there. You need the video on a separate page. So after we publish the written article, we'll come back through, we'll get a video about it, we'll get that published to the website. After that's been on the website for a week, we will take it to YouTube. We will also take, at that same point in time, we will take a straight copy and paste of the article and publish it as an article on our LinkedIn business page. LinkedIn carries its own SEO juice, and you will get hits that will end up on your LinkedIn page for that article. The other thing that we do, I mentioned Missing Letter, is we have a recycle campaign that will take those social posts that have links back to the articles and the videos, and we'll recycle them for a full 12 months. At the end of the 12 months, I also get an email from the software that says, hey, now is a good time to update your page because you're going to forget about it. Google rewards you for that update as far as the algorithm goes. And then the process can start all over again. And so now you're exponentially increasing the number of pages on your website and updating.
You're saying update the existing page.
That's correct. More than likely, material has changed. there are details that you understand better. You're also going to become a much better content producer. Like I'm a much better writer than I was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago.
That's great information because I never would have thought that updating an old page versus just putting a new page out there would help with that algorithm and have any kind of effect.
So one of the things that's embedded in the algorithm, the older a page is, and it's continually being updated, the more authority it's going to have with respect to whatever that search phrase is. So it's going to reward you, like, especially if it's a high ranking page, people are still continuing to use it and look at it and read it and spend time on it and click through to other pages on your website. If you're updating it, you're going to remain at the top of the hill.
That's awesome. We're running out of time. So if an agent wanted to get a hold of Uncle Ron, where are some good places they can go to do so?
Well, they can always find me inside a soup. I don't hide. I'm there. If they want to learn more from Uncle Ron or have SEO done for them, sprocketops.com. So sprocketops.com is where Uncle Ron lives and helps other agents deploy SEO on the terms that they want to deploy it on. We've got education, we've got coaching, and we've got done for you that they can take advantage of.
Awesome. Well, definitely appreciate you coming on. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask real quick before we wrap up. What kind of resource are you providing for the listeners and watchers that tuned in today?
So I've got a PDF that will lay out that timeline of deployment of the content, website, social media, video, LinkedIn article, recycle campaigns, and it'll be available to download for them.
Awesome. So if you fill out the link here in the post, then we'll email you that resource. So definitely appreciate you coming on, Ron. Always great to catch up. And
heck yeah, man.
Every conversation, there's nuggets that I pull and take notes on. So tremendous value. Again,
I cannot believe that we went this entire conversation and didn't let the audience know what the Wadley family has done for both of our children over the years.
We'll save that for another episode.
Tune in next time.
We do have to select on YouTube, is this friends and family and kid appropriate?
But then there's nothing inappropriate, man. It's just medical. It's all biology and medicine. But the Wadley family has been instrumental in our children.
I'm married way above my head, and you two gentlemen and your families have benefited from that. That's all I got.
We certainly have.
If I were to share the late night text, I'd text Ron in a panic. It may scare some of the viewers and listeners. So we'll save that for a future date.
I thought my son was going to be diagnosed with oral cancer while we were wandering around Disneyland, and it turned out to just be eating too many Fruit Loops. So go figure. And that's a real story. But you're not going to share yours right now. My son shredded his tongue eating Fruit Loops. Couldn't eat a damn thing while we were at Disney. His tongue was red as anything. And Ron's wife came in and saved the day and really made the rest of the trip a lot more bearable. So thank you very much for that, Ron.
Yep. I did so much.
It was at 6 a.m. It was at 6 a.m. I sent you that message at 6. It was 7 a.m. Disney time, 6 a.m. Texas time, and I was like, "There's no way he's gonna read this. There's no way he's gonna help us for a couple hours." And you had your wife on with me within minutes, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning your time, and that is just the type of guy that Ron Wadley is. So,
well, again, I appreciate it. It's mostly because I can't sleep past about 6 o'clock. So
whatever it is, we all have to pee. We can always go back to bed. It's a choice and a decision. We appreciate the hell out of you, brother. We love you.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll talk
Thanks,
to you soon.
Ron.
Okay.